Joe Weisenthal has just returned from Athens with perspective. And the backdrop here, Joe, that you know so well, is the true poverty. Not medieval poverty, but just a new poverty that Athens faces.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was one of the striking things that I saw. Not necessarily the poverty, but the sense that there's a strong will and there's a strong eagerness on the people and the government to fight. And you saw last night that there were large protests in Athens in favor of the government. Again, this is the second time since the election that masses turned out in Syntagma Square protesting in favor of the government, encouraging them to hold their hard line. There's been a real shift from sort of anger and from fear to just sort of anger and frustration.
How has it shifted in the last couple of days?
I mean, I think it's hard to say.
The nation's got this guy's back, right?
That's the key thing, which is that everything Tsipras is doing is politically popular right now. He can say, look, I was elected with a mandate to get rid of the Troika, get out of the program. And although it's clearly he's going straight to the edge and risking possibly, a Grexit, everything he's doing seems pretty popular so far.
Joe, is this a new kind of negotiating tactic? Given what Hans was just telling us about the negotiations in Brussels among finance ministers, it almost seems like the Greek public is playing bad cop. Poor Yanis Varoufakis is actually in negotiating, playing good cop.
Yeah, it does seem like part of that. Part of this reminds me a little bit of actually the U.S. debt ceiling negotiations and how those always went to the last second. And the consistent story there was that, a couple days before the final agreement, it looked like they had an agreement, and then it all collapsed. That's what last night really reminded me of, as there's always this collapse right before a final agreement.
Ultimately, it resulted in a downgrade in August 2011.
Right, but there was no real rating.
Well, what's the rating on Greece's debt? Do you know?
Junk, I think.
I don't know.
But I mean, all in these negotiations that are designed to go up to the wire, you have to play every card possible. So you agree, and then it falls apart, and then there are recriminations, and then they'll come back to the table Monday. It would not shock me if they still found some sort of deal.